Have you ever looked in the mirror and realized that the person staring back at you is carrying a version of themselves that no longer belongs in the future they dream about? Not because they are weak, but because they have been living according to old habits, old fears, and old stories. Every human being reaches a point where the greatest obstacle is no longer the world outside. It is the version of themselves they continue to protect. Growth does not begin when life becomes easier. It begins when you decide that your old identity has reached its limit. The person who created your current life cannot always create the life you truly desire. That is why transformation is never about adding something new. It is about having the courage to remove what no longer serves you. Most people think change is comfortable. They imagine becoming successful while keeping the same mindset, the same routines, and the same excuses. But nature tells a different story. A seed must break before it becomes a tree. A caterpillar must disappear before a butterfly exists. Every meaningful transformation requires the end of something familiar. The old version of you may have helped you survive difficult seasons, but survival is different from growth. If you keep protecting outdated beliefs, you will keep repeating outdated results. Your identity is one of the most powerful forces shaping your life. It influences the decisions you make, the opportunities you pursue, the risks you avoid, and the future you believe is possible. Yet many people spend years trapped inside an identity they never consciously chose. It is built from childhood experiences, failures, criticism, disappointments, and the expectations of others. Over time, these experiences become labels. You begin to tell yourself that you are shy, unlucky, average, incapable, or destined to remain where you are. The longer you repeat these stories, the more real they seem. Eventually, you stop questioning them altogether. You protect them because they feel familiar, even when they keep you from becoming the person you want to be. The first step toward real transformation is recognizing that your identity is not fixed. It is a collection of beliefs, habits, and repeated actions that can be rewritten through conscious effort and consistent choices. Human history is filled with individuals who refused to let their past define their future. They were not born believing they would achieve greatness. They became remarkable because they challenged the limitations they had accepted about themselves. Every breakthrough began with a decision to stop identifying with weakness and start identifying with possibility. This shift did not happen overnight. It happened through repeated actions that gradually replaced old patterns with new ones. Your mind learns from evidence. Every time you act with courage instead of fear, discipline instead of laziness, or patience instead of frustration, you provide your brain with proof that you are becoming someone different. Identity changes when behavior changes consistently over time. One of the greatest barriers to growth is the comfort of familiarity. Even when your current identity causes pain, it often feels safer than the uncertainty of change. The mind prefers predictable discomfort over unfamiliar possibility because certainty creates a sense of security. This is why many people remain in situations they dislike. They know exactly what to expect, even if it prevents them from growing. Breaking free requires a willingness to step into uncertainty without immediate guarantees. You must become comfortable with feeling inexperienced, challenged, and occasionally misunderstood. Growth always asks you to leave behind the version of yourself that no longer fits the future you are trying to create. Many limiting identities are formed through repeated comparisons with others. You watch someone else's success and quietly conclude that they possess qualities you never will. You begin measuring your value against achievements, appearances, or recognition that belong to someone else's journey. Comparison slowly steals confidence because it shifts your attention away from your own progress. Every person begins from different circumstances, possesses different strengths, and faces different challenges. The only comparison that truly matters is between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. When you focus on improving yourself instead of competing with everyone around you, you reclaim the energy needed for genuine transformation. Your daily habits reveal the identity you currently believe about yourself. Someone who believes they are disciplined naturally follows through on commitments even when motivation disappears. Someone who believes they are a lifelong learner seeks knowledge every day. Someone who believes they are resilient refuses to let setbacks become permanent excuses. If your habits repeatedly contradict the person you want to become, your identity will remain trapped in the past. Lasting change begins when your actions align with your desired character rather than your temporary emotions. Every small decision becomes a vote for the type of person you are building. Another powerful limitation comes from the fear of failure. Many people avoid pursuing meaningful goals because they believe failure would confirm their deepest insecurities. They would rather remain comfortably average than risk discovering their potential. Yet failure does not define identity. It reveals information. Every mistake teaches something valuable about preparation, persistence, strategy, or patience. The people who accomplish extraordinary things are not those who never fail. They are the ones who refuse to interpret failure as evidence that they should stop trying. They understand that setbacks refine character rather than destroy it. Your environment also influences the identity you carry. The conversations you have, the media you consume, and the people you spend time with quietly reinforce certain beliefs about what is possible. If you constantly hear negativity, criticism, and doubt, those messages eventually become part of your internal dialogue. On the other hand, surrounding yourself with thoughtful ideas, disciplined individuals, and inspiring examples expands your vision of what you can become. Protecting your mental environment is just as important as developing physical strength, because your thoughts determine your direction long before your actions produce visible results. Breaking free from a limiting identity also requires complete honesty with yourself. Excuses often disguise themselves as reasonable explanations. You tell yourself there is not enough time, the circumstances are unfair, or success belongs only to fortunate people. While challenges are real, excuses remove responsibility from your hands. Responsibility may feel heavier in the beginning, but it also gives you power. The moment you accept responsibility for your choices, your habits, and your mindset, you reclaim the ability to influence your future. This realization is deeply liberating because it shifts your attention away from what you cannot control and toward what you can improve every single day. Patience is another essential part of rebuilding identity. Modern culture celebrates instant results, but meaningful transformation follows a slower rhythm. Just as a tree grows quietly beneath the surface before reaching impressive heights, your inner change often remains invisible before it becomes obvious to others. During this period, you may feel as though nothing is happening. In reality, every disciplined action is strengthening the foundation of your future character. The greatest danger is giving up before these invisible changes have time to accumulate into lasting results. Your words also shape your identity more than you may realize. The language you use when speaking about yourself becomes a blueprint for future behavior. If you repeatedly describe yourself as incapable, unlucky, or destined to fail, your actions will gradually align with those beliefs. Replace limiting language with truthful and empowering statements, grounded in effort rather than fantasy. Instead of saying you are not good enough, remind yourself that you are still learning. Instead of believing you will always remain the same, recognize that every day provides another opportunity to strengthen your discipline, expand your knowledge, and develop greater resilience. When your thoughts, actions, habits, and decisions consistently support a stronger identity, the person you once believed you were begins to disappear, making room for someone far more capable. Confident and prepared to create a future defined by purpose rather than limitation, your greatest transformation will rarely happen in a crowded room. It begins in the quiet moments when you are left alone with your thoughts, your fears, your habits, and your choices. Many people see solitude as something to avoid because it removes distractions and exposes the truth about who they are. Without constant entertainment, endless conversations, or the approval of others, there is nowhere to hide. Yet this is exactly where real strength is created. Solitude is not a sign that you have failed socially or become disconnected from the world. It is a powerful environment where your character is tested, your priorities become clear, and your future is shaped. The strongest version of yourself is often built during seasons when no one is watching and no one is applauding. Throughout history, many of the world's greatest thinkers, inventors, leaders, and creators spent significant periods working alone. They understood that meaningful ideas require uninterrupted attention. Modern life constantly competes for your focus. Every notification, opinion, and comparison pulls your mind in a different direction. Over time, this constant noise makes it difficult to hear your own thoughts. Solitude restores clarity. It gives you the opportunity to examine your beliefs, question your habits, and decide whether the life you are living truly reflects the person you want to become. Without moments of intentional silence, it becomes easy to spend years chasing goals that were never genuinely yours. Many people fear being alone because they confuse solitude with loneliness. Loneliness is the feeling of being disconnected despite wanting connection. Solitude, on the other hand, is a deliberate choice to spend time with yourself in order to grow. It is a place where self-awareness replaces distraction and where honest reflection becomes possible. When you stop relying on constant external validation, you begin to discover what genuinely matters to you. Your confidence slowly shifts from depending on praise to trusting your own principles. This inner stability becomes one of the strongest foundations for long-term success because it cannot be taken away by changing opinions or temporary setbacks. Building strength in solitude also requires learning to become your own source of accountability. When other people are watching, it is often easier to stay disciplined because you want to maintain your reputation. The real test comes when no one would notice if you gave up, Will you still wake up early to work toward your goals? Will you still study, exercise, practice, or improve when there is no audience waiting to congratulate you? These quiet decisions reveal your true character. Discipline developed in private eventually becomes excellence displayed in public. Every successful achievement that people admire usually has thousands of unseen hours behind it, where commitment mattered more than recognition. One of the greatest benefits of solitude is that it teaches emotional independence. Many people spend their lives allowing circumstances or other people to determine how they feel. A compliment creates confidence. Criticism destroys it. Approval brings motivation. Rejection removes it. This emotional dependence creates instability because your peace becomes controlled by factors outside your influence. Solitude encourages you to build a stronger internal foundation. You begin learning that your values, your effort, and your integrity matter more than temporary opinions. Once your emotional balance comes from within, external challenges lose much of their power over your decisions. Solitude also strengthens your ability to think independently. Society constantly offers ready-made beliefs about success, happiness, relationships, and achievement. Without reflection, it becomes easy to adopt these ideas without questioning whether they align with your own values. Spending time alone gives you space to examine what you truly believe instead of simply repeating what everyone else believes. Independent thinking is essential because extraordinary lives are rarely built by blindly following the crowd. Progress often begins when someone has the courage to challenge accepted assumptions and create a different path. Another lesson solitude teaches is patience. Growth often feels slow because the most important changes happen internally before they become visible externally. During periods when results seem distant, many people become discouraged and abandon their efforts. Solitude helps you appreciate the value of steady progress instead of immediate rewards. You begin focusing less on instant gratification and more on long-term development. Every page you read, every skill you practice, and every disciplined decision becomes part of an invisible investment that will eventually produce remarkable results. Although others may not notice these daily improvements, they quietly reshape your abilities and strengthen your character. There will be moments when solitude feels uncomfortable because it forces you to confront parts of yourself that have been ignored for years. Old fears, regrets, insecurities, and unanswered questions may surface. Instead of running from these experiences, use them as opportunities for growth. Self-awareness is impossible without honesty. The more willing you are to examine your weaknesses without judgment, the greater your ability to improve them. True confidence does not come from pretending to be perfect. It comes from knowing your imperfections and continuing to grow despite them. Your relationship with yourself determines the quality of every other relationship in your life. If you constantly seek validation from others because you cannot enjoy your own company, you place enormous pressure on people to provide something only you can create within yourself. Solitude teaches self-respect, self-trust, and self-reliance. These qualities allow you to connect with others from a place of strength rather than dependence. Healthy relationships are built between two complete individuals, not between people searching for someone else to complete them. Another hidden advantage of spending time alone is that it increases resilience. Life inevitably brings disappointment, rejection, uncertainty, and failure. If your identity depends entirely on external support, difficult seasons can leave you feeling powerless. Solitude develops the ability to remain steady during adversity. You learn to solve problems independently, regulate your emotions, and continue moving forward even when encouragement is limited. This resilience becomes one of your greatest strengths because it allows you to remain focused when circumstances become challenging. The quiet hours you invest in yourself are never wasted. Every moment spent learning, reflecting, planning, or strengthening your habits adds another layer to your future character. While the world often celebrates visible achievements, the real victory takes place long before success becomes obvious. It happens when you choose discipline over distraction, purpose over comfort, and growth over temporary pleasure. Over time, these choices shape a person who no longer depends on favorable circumstances to keep moving forward. They create someone who carries confidence without arrogance, determination without impatience, and resilience without bitterness. When you become comfortable walking your path alone, you develop a strength that cannot be borrowed, purchased, or taken away, because it has been built patiently from within through countless moments of quiet commitment and unwavering self-belief. Your future is not waiting for a better economy, better circumstances, or perfect timing. It is waiting for a different version of you. The greatest investment you will ever make is not in technology, money, or status. It is in your character. Skills create opportunities, but character determines whether you can sustain them. Strength built within cannot be taken away by changing conditions. Destroy the old you not because you hate who you were, but because you respect who you can become. Honor your past by learning from it. Honor your present by acting with intention. Honor your future by refusing to settle for an identity that no longer matches your highest potential. The person you are becoming is built one decision at a time, one disciplined habit at a time, and one courageous step taken even when no one is there to applaud. The greatest transformation is rarely loud. It happens quietly, consistently, and often alone, until one day the world no longer recognizes the person you used to be because you finally became the person you were capable of becoming.